In the morning when I'm driving, I really come alive when I listen to my Ronnie, I listen to my Ronnie Q. They are rare and they are few who can compare with Ronnie Q. So grab a chair, she's coming through. She's on the air, it's time for Ronnie Q. They are rare and they are few who can compare with Ronnie Q. So grab a chair, she's coming through. She's on the air, it's time for Ronnie Q. Ronnie Q. It's time for Ronnie Q. Ronnie Q. It's time for Ronnie in the morning while I'm driving. Ronnie, I really come alive when it's time for Ronnie Q. I listen to my Ronnie. Ronnie, I listen to my Ronnie. It's time for Ronnie Q. Take a seat and go meet Ronnie. Sweet, 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 sweet Ronnie. No day complete without my Ronnie. She can't be beat. Sweet, sweet Ronnie.
What is good? How are you doing? Thank you for being here. Please hit the like button. I would appreciate it. I hope you can hear me well. Okay, so let's get started. I want to share something that I'm going to leave the kitty up for a second. I do realize the kitty is dancing. I want to share this information with you. If you don't know, your child is no longer considered to be a child who is in your care above the age of 7. You know how you were responsible for your child until the age of 18. So they have shrank that age down to age 7. I just want to share this with you. Well, I'm going to have to remove the cat. I'm going to remove the cat. I have to. Because there is some data that you definitely need to see on this. So let's get into it.
They're saying that they lowered the age of dependence from 18 to the age of 7. You heard what I just said? They lowered the age of dependence from the age of 18 to the age of 7. So they're saying right now that your 7-year-old is responsible enough to take care of a household. Oh, you think I'm playing? Look at this shit.
They
listen
lowered
to this shit right here.
From 18 to 7.
Listen.
So now, if you have an 8-year-old child, it is the belief of this administration that that child is self-sufficient and can work and support the family.
I don't know where this shit is going, but it don't seem like it's about to go the right way. How is it possible for a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old to take care of family? So you have Florida, then you have Iowa stating that these kids can work. Basically, what that says to me is that you're viewing these minors as adults. My question to you is, what 8-year-old do you know right now that's responsible enough to go to work, to get paid and take care of family? At that age, they're not even responsible enough to clean up their own rooms. So you're telling me the workforce is more important than giving these kids an education? Or what you're telling me is that these adults want to treat these kids like adults for a reason. And since we're on the topic, what type of jobs will these kids have? This is the question that we have to ask. You see, but this is the type of shit they do behind our backs when everybody is worrying about what's going on with Diddy's and the entertainment industry and what's going on in Hollywood with Justin Bieber and all of this shit that don't make no never mind or don't matter to what's going on with life. They make up laws and shit like this while we're not looking. And now we are in some real shit. When you're at those delicate ages, you shouldn't have a care in the world. But apparently these people don't think that. Apparently these people have something else planned. We need as much information as we can get on this shit, because this shit don't sound good at all. Pay attention. If you don't...
Okay, so if you don't know, I just wanted to share that with you because, yes, that is going on. Hey, Liz, it is good to see you, Foot Soldier. Detach myself. Thank you guys for joining me. Hit the like button. I would greatly appreciate that. Now, I wanted to, I have reported on them lowering the age of child labor. I think that's been a year ago now, not to the age of 7. This is something diabolical. This is something to where your child, if they are saying that your child is no longer your dependent after the age of 7, so are they saying that your child can be separated from you whenever they choose to, and for instance put into these fields for big corporations and hedge funds, these fields that they have taken all the immigrants out of working? Are they now saying that the age of 7, you cannot claim your child as your own child? Are they saying that? Do you think that they have reduced the age of dependency to the age of 7 for a good reason? Or do they want to do something to your children and you have no hold or say over your children? So we do know that these farmers are going broke while they're bailing out Argentina, and not these farmers. And we do know that these hedge funds are buying up these farms that these farmers are losing. So who's going to attend to the crops of these billionaires and these hedge fund investors? I'm just asking a question. So let me share with you something else you may not be aware of. Let's get into this. Y'all don't have nothing to say about that? Okay, if you don't have nothing to say about it, I will move on. Let me get into this right here. If you are unaware of this, let me share this with you as well. Okay. I always have to restart it. I hate when it doesn't have the sound on automatically. Here we go. Let's get into this. The next time you go to Starbucks, or if you hear this story and you decide not to go to Starbucks, well, I'm going to decide not to go to Starbucks, but the next time you go, you may want to have them to put a different name on your cup. Maybe something like Trayvon Martin, Harriet Tubman, George Floyd, some important name to you, your history, and how you live your life, and how you don't want your history erased.
You think twice about going to Starbucks over your local coffee shop. Starbucks is now requiring its employees to write Charlie Kirk on customers' cups if they're asked to do so. This comes after an incident in Chicago when a customer tried to make a political statement by forcing an employee to write Charlie Kirk on a cup. The employee declined, saying that customer policy didn't allow them to put political slogans or names on cups. She said she would be happy to put Charlie. Of course, as a typical MAGA person, they're loud and they want to create disruption. So therefore, that wasn't enough for this customer. The incident then went viral with the radical right. Starbucks has now responded saying they want to create human connection, and if that means writing Charlie Kirk on the cup, that's okay. If you have to get a caffeine fix and you can't find your local coffee shop, then make sure when you go to Starbucks you give them the name Melissa Hortman, or other names like Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, or Gavin Newsom. We want to make sure they say it out loud. Here's some news that will make you think twice about going.
Yes, Liz. Yes, indeed, Liz. So, I decline. Starbucks can get it like Target can get it. They can get it like Target can get it. Okay. Which means they can't get my coin. Okay, this is the last thing that I want to share with you. Of course, it happened in Florida. All dumb shit happens. Not all dumb shit. A lot of dumb shit happens in Florida. So, if you guys haven't seen this, now this teacher, they have gotten the name of this teacher, all of her, not all of her address information, all of her teaching credentials information, and it is going around. If you guys have not seen this disgusting woman in 2025 do this to this child, look like he maybe about 5 or 6. This is my estimation. Let's take a look at this. A teacher is going viral for special birthday song for her 6-year-old student.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear legend. Happy birthday to you. Would you like the funny song now that I sing to you? Okay, it goes like this. Happy birthday to you. You live in the zoo. You look like a monkey, and you smell like 1, 2. Woo! Give a clap, everybody. Here we go. Happy birthday.
This is a teacher. This is a teacher. Yet they're worried about you learning your real history. Good morning, Sandy. It is good to see you. Okay, so no comments on that? Okay, well, we'll move on. Exactly, foot soldier. Exactly. And I have another thing to let you understand how they do not care about children unless they're white children. I'm going to get to how they see the children of others. Okay. So let's get into what I wanted to show you today, and we're going to get started. Let's remember, mistakes don't define you or their rules for the job. So we remember Hegseth in his speech talking about he's going to make this new military where mistakes don't define you. They're going to be forgiving mistakes. And also we heard a report that he himself has a drunk driving charge, and all of we're gonna remind you about Pete Hegseth prior to him becoming the defense secretary. I too will call it the Department of Defense, and I too will call him unfortunately have to call him the defense secretary, because there is no such thing as the Department of War. Congress has to vote to change the name. So all of this Department of War is just some type of fallacy. It's bullshit. So let me remind you about Hegseth. Because you heard him say that he's going to make sure mistakes don't define the military. Let's see if he's made some mistakes that he just want to whitewash away. If you guys remember, I played his confirmation hearing here. Let's take a gander about mistakes.
Thank you, Mr. Hegseth. I'm looking forward to this opportunity to talk. I want to return to the incident that you referenced a minute ago that occurred in Monterey, California in October 2017. At that time, you were still married to your second wife, correct?
I believe so.
And you had just fathered a child by a woman who would later become your third wife, correct?
Senator, I was falsely charged, fully investigated, and completely cleared.
So you think you were completely cleared because you committed?
Hold on. Okay. He's talking about the instance where a woman accused him of SAing her, and he paid her a undisclosed sum of money. And she called the police, and the police said that they didn't have enough to charge him. But that's what he's talking about. Let's continue.
No crime. That's your definition of cleared. You had just fathered a child 2 months before.
I apologize for the buffering. I don't know what all of this is about. They don't want me to play it. It's Todd. Blame it on Todd. Let's see if we can get this to go.
Thank you, Mr. Hegseth. I'm looking forward.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
To this opportunity to talk. I want to return to the incident that...
Oh my God. I don't know what is going on.
Thank you, Mr. Hegseth. I'm looking forward to this opportunity to talk. I want to return to the incident that you referenced a minute ago that occurred in Monterey, California in October 2017. At that time, you were still married to your second wife, correct?
I believe.
Oh my God. I apologize.
So,
I don't know what's going on.
And you had just fathered a child by a woman who would later become your third wife, correct?
Senator, I was falsely charged, fully investigated, and completely cleared.
So you think you were completely cleared because you committed no crime. That's your definition of cleared. You had just fathered a child 2 months before by a woman that was not your wife. I am shocked that you would stand here and say you're completely cleared. Can you so casually cheat on a second wife and cheat on the mother of a child that had been born 2 months before, and you tell us you are completely cleared? Senator, how is that a complete clear?
Senator, her child's name is Gwendolyn Hope Hegseth, and she's a child of God, and she's 7 years old.
And she was, and you cheated on the mother of that child less than 2 months after that daughter was born, didn't you?
Those were false charges.
Well,
it was fully investigated, and I was completely cleared. And I am so grateful for the marriage I have to this amazing woman behind me.
You've admitted that you had sex at that hotel in October 2017. You said it was consensual, isn't that correct?
Anything...
You've admitted that it was consensual, and you were still married, and you just had a child by another woman.
Again,
How do you explain your
completely
judgment?
false charges against me.
You
Fully investigated, and I was completely clear.
You have admitted that you had sex while you were married to wife 2 after you just had fathered a child by wife 3. You've admitted that. Now, if it had been a sexual assault, that would be disqualifying to be Secretary of Defense, wouldn't it?
It was a false claim then and a false claim now.
If it had been a sexual assault, that would be disqualifying to be Secretary of Defense, wouldn't it?
That was a false claim.
So
You're talking about a hypothetical.
So you can't tell me whether someone who has committed a sexual assault is disqualified from being Secretary of Defense?
Senator, I know in my instance, and I'm talking about my instance only, it was a false claim.
But you acknowledge
And
you
it was
cheat, but
fully
you acknowledge
investigated.
that you cheated on your wife and that you cheated on the woman by whom you had just fathered a child. You have admitted that.
I will allow your words to speak for themselves.
You're not retracting that today. That's good. I assume that in each of your weddings, you've pledged to be faithful to your wife. You've taken an oath to do that, haven't you?
Senator, as I've acknowledged to everyone in this committee, not a perfect person, not claiming to
But
be.
no, I just asked a simple question. You've taken an oath like you would take an oath to be Secretary of Defense in all of your weddings to be faithful to your wife. Is that correct?
I have failed in things in my life, and thankfully I'm redeemed by my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
In finalizing divorces from your first and second wives, were there non-disclosure agreements in connection with those divorces?
Senator, not that I'm aware of.
If there were, would you agree to release those first and second wives from any confidentiality agreement?
Senator, it's not something I'm aware of.
But if there were, you would agree to release them from a confidentiality agreement?
Senator, that's not my responsibility.
Did you ever engage in any acts of physical violence against any of
Whose responsibility would it be?
your wives?
Senator, absolutely not.
But you would agree with me that if someone had committed physical violence against a spouse, that would be disqualifying to serve as Secretary of Defense, correct?
Senator, absolutely not have I ever done that.
You would agree that that would be a disqualifying offense, would you not?
Senator, you're talking about a hypothetical.
I don't think it's a hypothetical. Violence against spouses occurs every day. And if you as a leader are not capable of saying that physical violence against a spouse should be a disqualifying fact for being Secretary of the most powerful nation in the world, you're demonstrating an astonishing lack of judgment. The incident in Monterey led to a criminal charge, a criminal investigation, a private settlement, and a cash payment to the woman who filed the complaint. And there was also a non-disclosure agreement, correct?
It was a confidential settlement agreement off of a nuisance lawsuit.
Right. During an interview, you claimed that you settled the matter because you were worried that if it became public, it might hurt your career. Do you maintain that you were blackmailed?
Senator, I maintain that false claims were made against me. And ultimately,
your attorney
those
used
false
the
claims,
phrase,
I have the opportunity to attest my innocence in those false claims.
But you didn't reveal any of this to President Trump or the transition team as they were considering you to be nominated for Secretary of Defense. You didn't reveal the action. You didn't reveal the criminal complaint. You didn't reveal the criminal investigation. You didn't reveal the settlement. You didn't reveal the cash payment. Why didn't you inform the commander-in-chief and the transition team of this very relevant event?
Senator, I've appreciated every part of the process with the transition team. They have been open and honest with me. We've had great conversations between the two of us, and I appreciate the opportunity that President-elect Trump has given me.
You chose not to reveal this, right? Because you knew it would hurt your chances. So you chose not to reveal this really important thing to the commander-in-chief and the transition team because you were worried about your chances rather than trying to be candid with the future president of the United States. Are there any other important facts that you chose not to reveal to the president-elect and his team as they were considering you to be Secretary of Defense?
Senator, I sit here before you an open book, as everyone who's watched this process.
With multiple non-disclosure and confidentiality agreements tying the hands of many people who would like to comment to us. Much has been made of your workplace behavior as a leader of nonprofit veterans organizations and as a Fox News contributor. Were you fired from either of the leadership positions with the nonprofits?
I was the leader. I was the CEO of Concerned
I know
Veterans
which
for
ones,
America and the
those
executive
two,
director
were
of
you
Vets for
fired?
Freedom.
Were you fired from either
And I
of
was
them?
never fired from a
Do you have
veterans organization.
Do you have non-disclosure agreements with either of those organizations?
Not that I'm aware of, Senator.
Many of your work colleagues have said that you show up for work under the influence of alcohol or drunk. I know you've denied that, but you would agree with me, right, that if that was the case, that would be disqualifying for somebody to be Secretary of Defense.
Senator, those are all anonymous false claims, and the totality
They're not anonymous.
the letters
We've
on the
seen-
record here.
They're not anonymous.
On the record.
We've
People who've
seen
worked me
records with
at
names
Vets
attached
for
to
Freedom,
them.
Concerned Vets for America, and Fox News
One of
attributing
your-
to me
one of
being
your colleagues
working
said-
hard every day on behalf of
One of
my
your
mission.
colleagues said that you got drunk at an event at a bar and chanted, "Kill all Muslims." Another colleague, not anonymous, we have this, said that you took coworkers to a strip club. You were drunk, you tried to dance with strippers, you had to be held off the stage, and one of your employees in that event filed a sexual harassment charge as a result of it. Now, I know you denied these things, but isn't that the kind of behavior that, if true, would be disqualifying for somebody to be Secretary of Defense?
Senator, anonymous false charges.
They're not anonymous. And I'll just conclude and say this to the chairman. You claim that this was all anonymous. We have seen records with names attached to all of these, including the name of your own mother. So don't make this into some anonymous press thing. We have seen multiple names of colleagues consistently throughout your career that have talked about your abusive actions,
Chairman, I think
attitudes,
he's
words,
over
and
his time.
statements
He's way
to women.
over his time.
I now yield.
And thank you very much.
Okay, why is that important? Ronnie Hugh, why is any of this important? It shows you the character going to work, have a good day, will keep you running as usual. I appreciate that, Sandy. Okay, now, hey, Bush baby, hello, Miss Douglas. Why is any of this important? You may ask. You heard Hexelf stand up in front of all of the high-ranking generals and admirals and bemoan the fact that people have had their careers ruined for making mistakes. I want you to understand the character of the person who says that they are going to no longer sideline people who make mistakes. Now, you hear his record being put forth in his confirmation hearing, and he can't even admit to the wrongdoing that is already out there about himself. He did not disclose any of this to the committee who were searching for a defense secretary. He tried to hide all of his personal information. Let me tell you something. If he cannot answer a hypothetical question because he feels that he is too closely related to the situation, as if you have done these things, wouldn't that disqualify you from becoming the Department of Defense? If you have abused your wife, can you agree that that would disqualify you for the position that you are serving in? Do you have any non-disclosure agreements with your wives? And then, if so, will you release them from that agreement? It's not up to me. Now, this is who. Okay, this is the one who said on when he met in front of the admirals that they're not going to go for all of this soft stuff and call everything bullying. Okay. So he's going to take away the things that have saved people's lives in the military who have been hazed and bullied and harassed. That is now going to be allowed in the military. This is why I played this to you, to let you see the content of and lack of character of the person that of the Republicans. He had to get him to be the defense secretary. J.D. Vance had to make the final vote. There is no in 45-47 cabinet. He is the one who barely made it through. Now he is in charge of the military. This is why I'm playing this to you, so you can remember who this man really is. And now 45-47 said that he's going to put him in intercities. He's going to free this type of thinking on people in the street. You know, of Antifa, who are classified as terrorists, as 45-47 also said in his speech to the admirals, that I understand it's going to be a little more hard for you to figure out who they are because they don't wear uniforms. So Antifa is is an idea, is an imaginary a group that 45-47 wants to say everyone is who disagrees with him, which they have the right to do. So everyone who disagrees with him and his policies, they are the ones who are going to determine who Antifa is, since they have determined that Antifa is a group that they can send the military after, because he has made an executive order to call Antifa domestic terrorist. That's why I played this. That's why I played this. One day, there is going to be something that you want to protest. That's why I played this. 7-year-olds, they're no longer your dependents. So what does that mean? Does that mean that the state can take your 7-year-old away from you and do whatever, put him to work in all of these arenas that they have taken the undocumented workers out of? That's why I played this for you. It takes some critical thinking to have read Project 2025 and to see the policies that are being enacted against the United States people. That's all I'm saying. These are just my ideas. I heard every hidden message in that speak. Hey, a bird named Big Taco, pretty much, and I understood. Okay, so let's go a little further. All of these links are under my description box under plain talk. We're gonna talk some plain talk. We're gonna understand now. Bush baby knows where I'm going. We need to understand what exactly was said in that speech and why it's important. We're going to decipher that speech in plain talk. Okay? I'm not going to play the whole video. I'm just going to play a little bit of that video, of this video. I don't know why my thing is buffering so much. My goodness. Oh my goodness. It's too late to reboot my computer. I can't reboot my computer. Oh Lord. Well, maybe I'm not gonna play this one for you. Hold on 1 second. Let me get out of here 1 second.
In our democracy. As Sam indicated, what Hegseth says is forget everything else. Whatever, I'm sure 90% of MAGAs don't know what woke means, but I'm not going to get into that. So forget about woke, forget about equality, forget about diversity. The military is going to be about only one thing. Lethality, defined as their sole mission, is going to be to kill people and to break things. You got that, Sam? That's their sole mission. Did he say anything about training them in law enforcement?
No.
Did he say anything about training them in crowd control?
No.
Not a darn thing. And this becomes incredibly important when I'm going to put together what Hegseth had to say with what Trump had to say. And, there's been a lot of good analysis of each part of it, but I haven't yet seen a comprehensive analysis that puts the two things together. And we're going to do that right now. Okay. Wow. So forget everything but lethality, killing people, and breaking things. Quote, "We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement." None of this Geneva Convention human rights stuff. "We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country." Intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. All right, now put that together with who Trump defines as the enemy against whom this new lethal, unleashed military will be directed against. Does he talk about Russia, Sam?
No.
Does he talk about China?
No.
Does he talk about North Korea or Iran?
No.
No. Who does he talk about?
The enemy within.
The enemy within. Other Americans. You know where that phrase, the enemy within, came from, Sam?
Joseph McCarthy.
Joseph McCarthy. Exactly. The most notorious violator of civil liberties, humane norms, the rule of law, the Constitution. He lives in infamy, and the last person you should be modeling it on. But here's what he said.
Okay, I don't know why my computer is buffering so much. I just wanted to get to that little plain talk about this situation. Understanding the character of the person that is in office as the Secretary of Defense. Now, I have played many a times him being asked, will he take a unlawful order from 4547? And he acted as if that was such a silly question to even ask, as if 4547, hey, thank you, Rockwell, good morning to you as well, as if 45 and 47 would give him an unlawful order. He wouldn't even answer the question. I played that just recently. Now, let's move forward. The Geneva Convention, and I'm going to let you understand why what Hegseth said and what 4547 said should frighten you. We need to free our hands of all these antiquated laws that people in wood panel rooms and smoke-filled wood panel rooms have created. They created the Geneva Convention. And let's get into that portion of my presentation, of my news that I hope that you guys put together as well. Here we go. Let's get into this.
Welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Senator.
You've made
I apologize. Oh my goodness.
Several references to your religion today. I share that.
Hold on. I'm going to...
Devotion to Christianity. But I must say,
Hold on. I'm going to go out and come back in. If you need to come back in too, please come back in.
been reminded somewhat of Saul on his way to Damascus.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go out and come back in.
You seem to have been converted over the last several weeks and several months. You wrote in your book just last year that, but if we're going to, this is the book, War on Warriors, but if we're going to send our boys to fight, and it should be boys, we need to unleash them to win. Later on, our boys should not fight by rules written by dignified men. Which is it? Is it only boys can fight? I mean, you've testified here today that you believe in women in combat, but you didn't just last year. How do you explain your conversion?
Senator, my testimony is clear. Writing a book is different than being Secretary of Defense, and I look forward to leading the men and women of our military. And my comment there, Senator, was about the burdensome rules of engagement that members of our generation, men and women, have seen on the battlefield. And one thing President Trump changed in meaningful ways that led to meaningful developments on the battlefield. When President Trump took control in the first term, ISIS was raging across Iraq, and as someone who spent a lot of time there with other men and women who invested in that mission, it was a very difficult moment to see the black flag of ISIS fly. And what President Trump did was untie the hands of warfighters. He changed the rules of engagement, untied the hands of warfighters, and allowed them to complete their mission and crush ISIS. It has not just tactical implications, operational and strategic implications, how you allow warfighters to go about winning and fighting their wars. President Trump understands that, and within the laws of war and the Uniform Code of Military Justice, we are going to unleash warfighters to win wars so that wars don't drag on forever, as our generation has seen.
So are you rejecting Title 18 and Title 42, I think, also has provisions that incorporate the Geneva Convention and the laws of armed combat? Are you saying that those laws should be repealed? That is the law of the land right now.
Senator, we have laws on the books from the Geneva Conventions into the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and then underneath that you have layers in which standard or temporary rules of engagement are put into place. We fight enemies also, Senator, as our generation understands, that play by no rules. They use civilians as human shields.
So are you saying
they target
that
women and children?
The Geneva Convention should not be observed?
We follow rules. We follow rules, but we don't need burdensome rules of engagement that make it impossible for us to win these wars. And
You're
that's
saying
what
two different
President
things.
Trump
You're saying
understands.
We follow rules, but you know, the people we're fighting against, they have no rules. So, if he's saying this, and we need to, we don't need our hands tied by the Geneva Convention. That's what he's saying. Understand who is has been released to put the military in inner cities, in our communities. Understand that they're not going to be hunting white people in these white areas that's doing all of this mass shooting. And we don't know what uniform they have no uniform, so we don't know who they are, but we're going to put this mindset into black communities, is what was said yesterday. Let's continue.
Rules, but we don't have to follow the rules in all cases. Is that correct?
Senator, I'm making
some rules.
Senator, I'm making an important tactical distinction that warfighters will understand. That there are the rules we swear an oath to defend, which are incredibly important, and this committee understands and helps set them. And then there are those echelons above reality, from, corps to division to brigade to battalion, and by the time it trickles down to a company or a platoon or a squad level, you have a rules of engagement that nobody recognizes. And then it makes you incredibly difficult to actually do your job on the battlefield. That's the kind of assessment and look that an Army major will give to this process if I was confirmed to be the Secretary of Defense.
Your quote is
true understanding of that.
Your quote in 2024, our boys should not fight by rules written by dignified men in mahogany rooms 80 years ago. That would be the Geneva Convention. America should fight by its own rules, and we should fight to win or not go in at all. Are you saying that the Geneva Convention provisions, which clearly outlaw torture of prisoners, should not apply in the future?
Senator, how we treat our wounded, how we treat our prisoners, the applications of the Geneva Conventions are incredibly important. But we would all have to acknowledge that the way we fought our wars back when the Geneva Conventions were written are a lot different than the asymmetric, non-conventional environment of counterinsurgency that I confronted in Iraq and Afghanistan. I was the senior counterinsurgency instructor in Afghanistan. My job was to understand how the Taliban and Al-Qaeda operated so that NATO units coming in could be informed of what was happening. They knew.
We have to admit that we cannot fight the insurgents the same way using Geneva Convention rules. So what would Antifa be called, since they are, on the lines of insurgents? You remember the insurgents did this, the insurgents did that. Anytime that they killed a bunch of civilians over in Iraq and Afghanistan, it was because of the insurgents. And he just told you that you cannot fight the insurgents with using the Geneva Convention, because I didn't know war was even dignified anyway. I thought war was a brutal, barbaric way of solving conflict. I didn't know. Now the Geneva Convention is a dignified way, and we can't use that in our war forces and in the insurgents and this and that. He doesn't want to fight by the rules. That's what I just wanted to remind you who we are talking about when you heard those speeches in front of the highest ranking members of the military. This is what he was telling them.
Our rules of engagement, and when they were more restrictive, they took advantage of them, and it put our men and women in a more dangerous and difficult place.
And you believe
future wars we fight, we need to have someone atop the Pentagon, sir, who understands how those ripple effects
Well, I just want to understand your position. Your position is torture's okay. Is that correct? Waterboarding, torture is no longer prohibited given the circumstances of whatever war we're in. Is that correct?
Senator, that is not what I said. I've never been party to torture. We are a country that fights by the rule of law, and our men and women always do. And yet we have too many people here in air-conditioned offices that like to point fingers at the guys in dark and dangerous places, the gals in helicopters in enemy territory who are doing things that people in Washington, D.C. would never dare to do, or send, in many cases.
In one of your interviews, you said they're willing to do this. You're talking about Donald Trump and Senator Cruz. They're willing to do something like waterboarding if it's going to keep us safe. Are you okay with waterboarding?
Senator, the law of the land is that waterboarding is not legal.
So the statement that you made,
he didn't answer the
question. You now
question.
recant. Is that correct?
No, he didn't.
they're willing to do something like waterboarding if it's going to keep us safe. You expressed that with approval.
Senator, I'm very familiar with that as a concept, having spent a year at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, guarding 700 of those that attacked us on 9/11.
I just want to be clear. Are we going to abide by the Geneva Convention and the prohibitions on torture, or are we not? Is it going to depend on the circumstances?
As I've stated multiple times, the Geneva Conventions are what we base ours. But what an American first national security policy is not going to do is hand its prerogatives over to international bodies that make decisions about how our men and women make decisions on the battlefield. America First understands we send Americans for a clear mission and a clear objective. We equip them properly for that objective. We give them everything they need, and then we stand behind them with the rules of engagement that allow.
We're not going to hand our soldiers over to some international dictating board. So he said, no, we're not going to follow the Geneva Conventions. That's what he said. That's what he said. Let me find that question one more time with all of his filibustering. I just wanted you guys to remember this.
On the battlefield, America First understands we send Americans for a clear mission and a clear objective. We equip them properly for that objective. We give them everything they need, and then we stand behind them with the rules of engagement that allow them to fight decisively to defeat America's enemies, which is why we say.
I just have a few seconds left, Mr. Hussack, if you could. I was very disturbed in your opening statement where you talked about the priorities that you have. We will work with our partners and allies to deter aggression in the Indo-Pacific from the Communist Chinese. There's not a single mention in this statement about Ukraine or Russia. Is this code for we're going to abandon Ukraine?
Senator, the president, that's a presidential level policy decision. He's made it very clear that he would like to see a end to that conflict. We know who the aggressor is. We know who the good guy is. We'd like to see it as advantageous for the Ukrainians as possible, but that war needs to come to an end.
You talk a lot about deterrence of China. I would submit that Xi Jinping is watching what we do very carefully. If we abandon Ukraine, that would be the strongest signal possible to Xi Jinping.
And we do know that without authorization, hold on. We do know without authorization, Hegseth stopped. He stopped information going to Ukraine. He stopped a shipment of arms that were approved by Congress from going to Ukraine. So I didn't want to talk about Ukraine. What is the Geneva Convention? I want to talk about what exactly is this thing called the Geneva Convention. We hear about it a lot, but let's get into the weeds of what the Geneva Convention is. It's a little short video, so here we go. What are the Geneva Conventions? Let me share this with you.
Being.
Here we go.
Most notably in transforming how we fight wars in the modern day. So what do these treaties specify, and how did they come into being? Without a doubt, maybe unless you're playing a war-themed video game, war is a pretty crappy experience. Wars destroy countries and economies alike for generations, displace anywhere from hundreds to millions, tear apart communities, destroy important basic infrastructure, can leave behind artifacts which cause even more suffering after the fighting has ended, and has psychological effects on combatants and civilian alike, even in those on the winning side. For most of human history, war was basically a free-for-all, which led to a whole host of horrors that many national governments eventually decided was maybe a little bit too much, even for empires at war. The Geneva Conventions, hence the plural, actually refer to a series of 4 different treaties signed on 4 different occasions, one in 1864, one in 1906, one in 1929, and one most notably in 1949, as well as 2 more conventions in The Hague in 1899 and 1907. These conventions established what would be considered on the international stage as war crimes, defining the rights that would be afforded to non-combatants, as well as what should even be allowed in warfare at all. This idea first came into fruition after Swiss businessman Henri Dunant visited soldiers wounded during the Battle of Solferino in 1859, a date my high school science teacher always insisted was the most important in human history, but that's a story for another time. Dunant was shocked and horrified to see just how little help these soldiers were receiving, and so proposed a humanitarian relief agency to help all injured combatants during a war, which would come to form the Red Cross. However, this Red Cross and Red Crescent movement would need help, not necessarily scientific or logistical, but diplomatic. When Dunant proposed the idea of what would become the Red Cross, he also proposed there be an intergovernmental treaty recognizing the neutrality of this and other such organizations, in order to allow them to treat soldiers from both sides without hindrance. This sparked the 1864 Geneva Convention, with 12 European countries signing the agreement, along with following agreements signed by more and more countries. Seriously though, he founded the Red Cross and called for the Geneva Conventions? This guy might just be one of the most influential people you probably never heard of. The first convention answered Dunant's requests, and naturally laid a lot of the groundwork for the following conventions, including rulings that the sick and injured must be treated without regard to any demographic differences and cannot be subject to extermination, torture, or experimentation. It also called for all parties to search for sick and wounded soldiers after a battle had finished, and to immediately report them to the ICRC, or the International Committee of the Red Cross. The second convention had a bit of a nautical theme to it, as it established what exactly to do regarding naval warfare, notably in establishing what a hospital ship is, that saving shipwrecked personnel is a must, and that neutral parties, i.e. merchant ships or yachts or Switzerland, who agree to provide medical assistance for a particular warship cannot themselves be fired on provided they still remain neutral. The third convention established the rules on how prisoners of war, or POWs, are allowed to be treated, notably in that they should be fed, housed in a clean facility, and given communication to the outside world, as well as receiving required treatment, namely among female POWs, only be required to disclose their name, rank, birthday, and military service number, and be repatriated when they fall seriously ill, or released when the fighting stops, and also sent home if they request. Finally, the fourth convention was a pretty big one, as it set forth the rights of civilians, and was also signed literally 4 years after the most devastating war in human history had ended, having seen upwards of 45 million civilian deaths alone. The fourth convention mandates that civilians never be attacked, tortured, or discriminated against, safe zones in hospitals be set up for vulnerable people, civilians be able to live as close to their normal lives as possible, and in occupied territories laws still be in force, both provided they don't pose a high enough security risk, prohibits pillage and destruction of property, and mandates all medical and religious items be allowed passage without restriction. Basically, it does its best to lift the burden of war off of civilians as much as possible. So to quickly recap, the first convention, signed in 1864, establishes protection for sick and injured soldiers. The second convention
So all of these links are in my description box. The reason why this is important, you heard Hexef say that the Geneva Convention is something of the past and too cumbersome to follow. We also understand that the Geneva Convention protects civilians. So if Hexef follows this illegal order where 4547 has told him to go into inner cities and get their rocks off, that itself is against the Geneva Convention. But we know that 4547 don't give a fuck about no Geneva Convention, as he continue to arm Israel, who is in the middle of a genocide against the Palestinians. And once this is over with, 4547 has in an agreement, a ceasefire agreement that once it's over with, he will be able to establish some properties in Palestine. And if Hamas don't agree to this agreement, then he told Netanyahu, you can go ahead and finish the job. So any strike on any American cities that this military does is against the Geneva Convention that Pete Hegseth don't give a fuck about. How do we know this? Because you just heard him say that. How do we further know this? Let's get into these facts. Since you guys may have forgot this pesky little set of pardons. Do you guys remember the pardons that Hegseth championed? If you don't, let me remind you. Pete Hegseth role in 45-47 controversial pardon of men accused of war crimes. Now, here we go. Let me remove this. Here we go. President-elect 45-47 announcement that he would nominate Fox News host Pete Hegseth to lead the Department of Defense in his second term has already stirred controversy. Hegseth, a military veteran, staunch defender of Trump's America First agenda, and an outspoken critic of what he calls the military woke culture, has built his career around challenging the military establishment. He held an influential role in advocating for 45-47 to intervene on behalf of service members in 3 cases involving war crimes accusations in 2019. Cases that divided the military and ignited fierce debates over the limits of executive power and the military accountability. Now, if he's confirmed as the next Secretary of Defense, Hegseth will oversee 1.3 million active duty service members and manage military strategy at a time of global instability and national instability, so it appears, raising questions about how his past approach towards accused war criminals will impact his military leadership and discipline. During 45-47 first term in office, Hegseth lobbied for the pardons of Army Lieutenant Clint Lawrence and Army Major Matthew Golson, and pushed to support Navy SEAL Edward Gallagher, each of whom were facing charges of or convictions related to alleged war crimes committed in Iraq and Afghanistan. Hegseth advocacy on behalf of these 3 service members appeared to pay off. In November of 2019, 45-47 granted pardons to Lawrence Goldstein and reserved a demotion of Gallagher, citing Hegseth and Fox News when he tweeted about his decision to review one of the cases. Hegseth's vocal defense of the men as victims of overzealous prosecution raised eyebrows in the military community, where such interventions by civilians are seen by some. Now, he was a civilian. He wasn't in the service. He had been in the service with these people. Now, he's a civilian on Fox News with a whole Fox News broadcast. And so this has raised Hegseth's vocal defense of these men as victim of overzealous prosecution raised eyebrows in the military community, where such interventions by civilians are seen by some as a threat to the integrity of the justice system. These men who went into the most dangerous places, this is Hegseth saying, these are men who went into the most dangerous places on earth with a job to defend us and made tough calls on a moment's notice. That's their job as well. They didn't do anything that's not expected of any other military person, and to do it within the rules and the laws of the Geneva Convention. But they did something different. They made tough calls on a moment's notice. Don't all military people do that in battle? Okay. Anyway, so Hegseth said on Fox News and Friends on Monday 19, they are not war criminals, they are warriors. Lawrence has been convicted by military. Lawrence had been convicted by a military court in 2013 for the murder of 2 Afghan men during a military operation in 2012 in which he ordered his soldier to open fire on a group of unarmed Afghanistan civilians. He suspected of being insurgents. Unarmed men who he suspected of being insurgents. Antifa. Put the word Antifa in there and see if it means anything to you now. Think about these Venezuelan boats that they have shot up 3 boats, and want to tell you that they knew for a fact that they were Trinidad Araga drug dealers who have been labeled narco terrorists. Put the word insurgents in for the word of narco terrorists. They ain't proved none of this. They ain't even tried to pretend like they were going to prove any of this. Just take their word for it. This is why you should be worried. All of these links are in my description box. So when you heard that speech, those 2 speeches in front of these majors and generals and admirals, that was either you gonna go our way, or you heard 45-47 say, if you disagree and you want to get up and leave, there goes your ranking and your career. That was a loyalty test. That was a get on board or get off the ship speech. And this is what is in store for the enemy within, that 45-47 calls the American people who don't support his bullshit. Now, let's see let me see. They granted him a pardon in 2019, arguing that he was unfairly targeted by military prosecutors and that his actions were justified in a combat environment where split-second decisions are often necessary for survival. Not for the survival of a civilian, it appears. Okay. Golston, a former Green Beret, was accused of murdering an unarmed Afghanistan man in 2010, a subject he believed was responsible for killing U.S. troops, although Golston has been awarded a Silver Star for his actions in Afghanistan. He later admitted to killing the suspect during a CIA interview, which prompted an investigation and the eventual charges against him. 45-47 granted him a pardon on November 19th after Hegseth interviewed Golston on his show. Gallagher was charged by the Navy with multiple crimes, including shooting civilians in Iraq, using a knife to kill a teenage Islamic State prisoner in Iraq, and in 2017, and threatened to kill fellow SEALs if they reported him. Gallagher was acquitted of murder by a military jury, but convicted on one count of posing for a photograph with the deceased's body. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. This is who Hegseth was petitioning for a pardon. His rank was reduced one step as a punishment. 45-47 reversed Gallagher's demotion and restored his rank and benefits. All he got was a demotion, and Trump turned around and gave him his position back with his pay. For Hexelf, a veteran of the Army National Guard who served in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Guantanamo Bay, these cases were emblematic of what he saw as a broader pattern of military prosecutors and officials unfairly targeting service members who had made difficult battlefield decisions. He argued that the military justice system was too quick to prosecute and too eager to appease public opinion. No, how about what about their appeasing the laws of battle? Particularly from liberal critics of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. His defense of these men resonated with a large segment of the conservative base who viewed the pardon as act of justice for heroes who were being scapegoated for the failures of the U.S. military strategy in the region. Okay. A quote from Hexelf: he risked his life serving abroad to protect the rights of all of us here at home. Republicans, no, this is not Hexelf. This is Republican Ralph Norman of South Carolina said of Gallagher in March 2019 during a rally outside the Capitol, urging authorities to release Gallagher from confinement ahead of his trial in light of his bravery, his patriotism, and his rights as an American citizen. Okay, so the articles there. This is all of these are linked in my description box. I just wanted to. Hey, Cass oh Lord. Hey, Kay Barron. Look at Miss Douglas. Like, oh my God. Oh my God. Yes, the article's there. So this is why I thought it was important to put into context. Hold on. Let me. One more thing. Hold on, one more thing. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Yes, I was able to find this real quick. Also, during his confirmation, I remember, and also in this budget that he didn't have available since he has been confirmed. But this is during his confirmation hearing, where he's asked if he would take an unlawful order from 4547. And everybody knows that 4547 gave his own former defense secretary unlawful orders to shoot peaceful protesters who were protesting George Floyd outside of the White House. We're clear on that. Hexelf even says that. I'll let you hear what he has to say. Let's get into it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I am focused on your fitness to serve, including your character and temperament and your overall qualifications to do the job. And I do appreciate the comments of Ranking Member Reed with his concerns regarding your nomination, because I share those concerns. As part of my responsibility as a member of this committee to ensure the fitness of all nominees to come before any of the committees on which I sit, I ask the following two initial questions. First, since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature?
No, Senator.
Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement relating to this kind of conduct?
Senator, I was falsely accused in October of 2017. It was fully investigated, and I was completely cleared.
I don't think completely cleared is accurate, but the fact is that your own lawyer said that you entered into an NDA and paid a person who accused you of raping her a sum of money to make sure that she did not file a complaint. Moving on. As Secretary, you will be in charge of maintaining good order and discipline by enforcing the Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ. In addition to the sexual assault allegations, and by the way, the answer to my second question should have been yes. I have read multiple reports of your regularly being drunk at work, including by people who worked with you at Fox News. Do you know that being drunk at work is prohibited for service members under the UCMJ?
Senator, those
Yes
are
or no?
multiple false anonymous reports peddled by NBC
Do you
News
know
that run
that
directly
drinking on the job
contradictory to
is
the dozens of men and women at
not
Fox News
contemplated?
Channel
And
who
I'm not
I work
hearing-
with
I'm
who
not
came
hearing
on
the
the
answer to my
record
question.
and said they've
In your
never
opening
seen
statement,
that.
Mr. Hegg said you commit to holding leaders accountable at all levels. That includes you, of course. And frankly, as Secretary, you will be on the job 24/7. You recently promised some of my Republican colleagues that you stopped drinking and won't drink if confirmed, correct?
Absolutely.
Will you resign as Secretary of Defense if you drink on the job, which is a 24/7 position?
I've made this commitment on behalf of
Will
the
you
men and women I'm
resign as
serving.
Secretary of Defense
I've
if
made this
you
commitment
drink
on
on the
behalf of
job?
the men and women I'm serving.
I'm not
because it's the
hearing-
most important deployment
I'm not
of my
hearing an
life.
answer to my question, so I'm going to move on. While you have made that commitment, you will not commit to resigning if you drink on the job. As Secretary of Defense, you will swear an oath to the Constitution and not an oath to any man, woman, or president, correct?
Senator, on multiple occasions, including as a young second lieutenant, I have sworn an oath to the
Answer is
Constitution,
yes.
and I'm proud to do so. Yes, ma'am.
In June of 2020, then President Trump directed former Secretary of Defense Mark Esper to shoot protesters in the legs in downtown DC, an order Secretary Esper refused to comply with. Would you carry out such an order from President Trump?
Senator, I was in the Washington, D.C. National Guard unit that was in Lafayette Square during those
Would you
events,
carry
holding
out
a
an
riot
order to
shield on
shoot
behalf of my
protesters
country.
in the legs?
I saw 50
as
Secret
directed
Service agents
to
get injured
Secretary
by
Esper?
rioters trying to jump over the fence, set
Again,
the church on fire, and destroy
You know
a
what, that
statue.
sounds to me that you will
Chaos.
comply with such an order. You will shoot protesters in the leg. Moving on. President-elect has attacked our allies in recent weeks, refusing to rule out using military force to take over Greenland and the Panama Canal, and threatening to make Canada the 51st state. Would you carry out an order from President Trump to seize Greenland, a territory of our NATO ally Denmark, by force, or would you comply with an order to take over the Panama Canal?
Senator, I will emphasize that President Trump received 77 million votes to be the lawful
We're
commander-in-chief
not
of
talking
this
about
country.
the election. My question is, would you use our military to take over Greenland or an ally of Denmark?
Senator, one of the things that President Trump is so good at is never strategically tipping his hand. And so I would never in this public forum give one way or another direct what orders the president would give me in any context.
That sounds to me that you would contemplate carrying out such an order to basically invade Greenland and take over the Panama Canal. Current DoD policy allows service members and eligible dependents to be reimbursed for travel associated with non-covered reproductive health care, including abortions. Will you maintain this?
That right there was his confirmation hearing. if you didn't remember that. But recently he had to go into discuss his budget that he did not have available with him. So he was also here we go. He was also questioned about the same thing, taking an illegal order. Now, he's already been questioned about this once. And then when he's questioned about it after he gets the job and is unprepared to show a budget for the Pentagon that has a 900 and some billion dollars budget, he was unprepared, and he was unprepared to answer these questions as well. Here we go. That he's already been asked, and he acted as if it was ridiculous that she would even consider this question.
Won, right? We both won on the same ballot. So I understand that President Trump has the right to nominate his people. We are going to have policies that we disagree with. All of that to me comes very standard. What I think I'm most concerned with is that no president has the right to use the uniformed military in a way that violates the U.S. Constitution and further taints the military as that apolitical institution that we all want, right? And our founders designed the system so that, we had posse comitatus, that we weren't going to use active duty military inside the United States and make American citizens potentially scared of their own military. We went through our own experience with that with the British. As the Secretary of Defense, you will be the one man standing in the breach should President Trump give an illegal order. Right? I'm not saying he will, but if he does, you are going to be the guy that he calls to implement this order. Do you agree that there are some orders that can be given by the Commander-in-Chief that would violate the U.S. Constitution?
Senator, thank you for your service. But I reject the premise that President Trump is going to be giving illegal orders.
No, I'm not saying he will, but do you believe there is such a thing as an illegal order that Joe Biden or any other president, Donald Trump, could give? Is there anything that a commander-in-chief could ask you to do with the uniformed military that would be in violation of the U.S. Constitution?
Senator, anybody of any party could give an order that is against the Constitution or against the law.
Right. Okay. So are you saying that you would stand in the breach and push back if you were given an illegal order?
I start by saying I reject the premise that President Trump will be giving any illegal orders at all.
This isn't a hypothetical, okay? Your predecessor in a Trump administration, Secretary Esper, was asked and did use uniformed military to clear unarmed protesters. He was given the order to potentially shoot at them. Helos flew low in Washington, D.C. as crowd control. He later apologized publicly for those actions. Was he right or wrong to apologize?
Senator, I was there on the ground. I saw the
I understand, and I respect that.
I've been there.
But you're
I
about
understand
to
the
be
level
the
of threat
Secretary of Defense
that was involved in that moment. I
was
also
he right
understand
to? So he was
legality and the Constitution.
Sir, was he right or wrong to
have.
apologize?
I'm not going to put words in the mouth of Secretary Esper or anybody else.
He said them himself. You don't have to. What are you scared of? Did he do the right thing by apologizing?
I'm not scared of anything, Senator.
Then say yes or no. You can say no.
The laws and the Constitution.
Okay.
In any
so
particular
Donald
scenario.
Trump asked for the active duty 82nd Airborne to be deployed during that same time. Secretary Esper has written that he convinced him against that decision. If Donald Trump asked you to use the 82nd Airborne in law enforcement roles in Washington, D.C., would you also convince him otherwise?
I'm not going to get ahead of conversations I would have with the president. However, there are laws and processes inside our Constitution that would be followed.
President Trump said in November that he is willing to consider using the active duty military against the, quote, enemy within. Have you been personally involved in discussions of using the U.S. military active duty inside the United States?
Senator, I'm fine. I'm glad we finally got to the topic of border security equaling national security because it's been abdicated and ignored for the last 4 years.
That wasn't my question. I'm just asking, have you been involved? You're about to be the Secretary of Defense, potentially. Have you been involved in discussions about using the active duty military inside the United States?
Senator, I am not yet the Secretary of Defense.
Right. I'm
if
just asking.
confirmed, I would be party to any number of
So you haven't been in any of these
which I would not
conversations?
reveal what I have discussed with the President of the United States.
Just
or
have
not.
you been in conversations? You're going to be in charge of 3 million people, the active duty that I know you care about. I believe you care about. So have you been in conversations about using the active duty in any way, whether it's setting up in detention camps, policing dangerous cities? Have you been involved in any of those conversations?
I apologize. That was the wrong video. That was him being asked a second time in his confirmation hearing. Now here is the same woman asking him would he use the military in more recently since he has been the defense secretary. Now he was questioned thoroughly. You would think he would have an answer by now. He is in the job and he shows up without his budget. So let's get into let me see, when did this happen? This happened 3 months ago. So you know he was he got the job about 8 months ago. So with him being in the job 5 months, let's hear him being questioned as he shows up without his budget.
When you had your confirmation hearing, that my biggest concern with you at the helm was the potential use of the military in ways that contradict the Constitution or that taint what I hope we all want, which is an apolitical military. And when I asked you about whether you would accept an order that was actually given to your predecessor, Secretary Esper, Trump's SecDef, to deploy active duty troops against unarmed protesters and to, in Secretary Esper's words, shoot at them, shoot at their legs. You said this was all theoretical. Here we are, a few months later, you've deployed 4,700 troops to Los Angeles and against the wishes of the governor. And my colleague across the aisle was right. It is the first time since 1965 that we have deployed Guard troops without the permission of the governor. In all the instances he laid out, the president had sent in the military to protect protesters, not against the protesters. So you may dismiss it, but I feel like this is a fundamental issue of American democracy. If you love your country and you want an apolitical military, then it should be the last resort, not the first resort in our country to use them. So to get to the non-theoretical, have you authorized the uniformed military to detain or arrest protesters in Los Angeles?
Senator, I would just start by saying you're not a protester if you're throwing concrete
100%.
at law
Arrest those
enforcement
people.
officers.
Throw them in the jail. 100%. But what you're doing is something different. Everyone knows this is a political decision, right? So we don't trust that you're using the best interests of the military, certainly, and of democracy on top of that. So have you given the order? That's all I want to know. It's not theoretical. For the U.S. military, not law enforcement. They can arrest all day long. That's their job. Do they have the ability, the uniformed military, to arrest and detain protesters currently today? It's a yes or no thing, authority.
It's sort of amusing the extent to which the speculation is out there. These troops are given very clear orders.
Then what is the order? Then list it out for us. Be a man, list it out. Did you authorize them to detain or arrest? That is a fundamental issue of democracy. I'm not trying to be a snot here. I'm just trying to get the actual, did you authorize them to do that?
All of these orders and what they're sent there to do are public. They are
Okay,
there
so
to,
say it. So say it, yes or no?
I'd like to.
Please, yes or no?
As I've said time and time again through interruption, they're there to protect law enforcement,
Do they have
ICE
the ability
officers
to arrest?
who are trying to do their job,
Okay.
deporting illegals who were allowed in by the previous
So
administration.
they cannot arrest and detain citizens of the United States, the uniformed military.
As
is
we've
that right?
stated, if necessary, in their own self-defense, they could temporarily
Okay.
detain and
Have
hand
you-
over to ICE. But
have
there's no
you given-
arresting going
have
on.
you-
And you know this better
Have
than
you
you're trying to
authorized
play
the
political
US
games.
military
There's no
to use
arresting
cyber
of U.S.
tools
personnel.
of the U.S. military against members of the protest? Have you authorized U.S. military cyber tools to investigate people participating in these protests? Yes or no?
Certainly in no way that I'd be aware of.
Okay, that's good. I love that answer. That's great. Have you given the order to be able to shoot at unarmed protesters in any way? I'm just asking the question. Don't laugh. Like the whole country. And by the way, my colleagues
What is
across
that
the
based
aisle.
on? What evidence would you
It
have
is
that an
based
order
on
like that has
Donald
ever
Trump
been given?
giving that order to your predecessor, to a Republican Secretary of Defense, who I give a lot of credit to because he didn't accept the order. He had more guts and balls than you because he said, I'm not going to send in the uniform military to do something that I know in my gut isn't right. He was asked to shoot at their legs. He wrote that in his book. That's not hearsay. So your poo-pooing of this, it just shows you don't understand who we are as a country, who we are. And all of my colleagues across the aisle, especially the ones that served, should want an apolitical military and not want citizens to be scared of their own military. I love the military. I served alongside my whole life, so I'm worried about you tainting it. Have you given the order? Have you given the order that they can use lethal force against honor? I want the answer to be no. Please tell me it's no. Have you given the order?
Senator, I'd be careful what you read in books and believing it, except for the Bible.
Oh my God. So your former predecessor, I guess that's not enough for you.
There you got it. Haven't been asked about this for months on ends. He still has no answer. And so what does that tell you? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. So I just want us to be clear about the military coming into urban cities and all of this. And they can crack down on people in these urban cities. So if you don't know, now you are positive. I don't know why you weren't positive. Why do you think that he chose this incompetent person to be over the Department of Defense? Now, I did not add those last two. Let me see. Do they want you dead? Let me share this with you. It's under the link. It's under my descriptions. Do they want you dead?
Government is simply powerless in this new government shutdown. Boy, when will they catch a break? This is just another day. Today is day one of the shutdown in our federal government, and while the pain is already being felt by many, members of the Trump administration are working tirelessly to find common ground that will bring an end to all of this.
Democrats in Congress have officially shut down the United States government.
Wow, I haven't seen a white woman play the victim card like that since some black people tried to have a barbecue in the park. But yes, the fact remains that while Republicans control all three branches of government and Donald Trump has never met a section of the Constitution he wouldn't trample over, there is simply nothing that Republicans can do to fix this. Now, at the heart of this debate is the position from Democrats who want to extend the ACA subsidies that are already in place but are set to expire at the end of this year, which would mean an increase in premiums for tens of millions of Americans as far as their health care is concerned. Democrats are not looking for anything extra, merely a continuation of these subsidies which benefit millions of lower and middle class people in blue and red states. But the Republican position is...
What they have done instead is to shut down the government because we won't give billions of dollars to healthcare funding for illegal aliens. That is what has actually happened.
Hold on. You're saying that the Democrats, in their meeting with you and the president, said, we will only open the government if you give billions of dollars of healthcare funding to illegal aliens?
They said to us, we will open the government, but only if you give billions of dollars of funding for healthcare for illegal aliens. That's a ridiculous proposition.
Yes, I agree. That is a ridiculous proposition. It is also a ridiculous lie. If you go to the ACA's own website, which, by the way, is managed by Trump's federal government, it says, quote, undocumented immigrants can't get marketplace health coverage. And that's a point that's been proven time and time again. Not a dime of federal funds for healthcare are available for undocumented immigrants. So where did this lie come from? There's no way that all of these people would stake their credibility on a bald-faced lie. Okay, bad example. But surely there is some basis for this talking point, right?
1.4 million illegal aliens being on Medicaid, particularly Medicaid expansion, is a CBO, Congressional Budget Office number. I didn't make it up.
Yeah, he didn't make it up. He just made some of it up during a televised congressional hearing. Here's what Representative Griffith is referencing. The fact that 1.4 million lawfully present immigrants are expected to lose health coverage due to the 2025 tax and budget law. Keyword, lawfully present immigrants. See, when you change just a few small words, it makes a world of difference. Like when I say Congressman Griffith is pretending to be a dumb asshole, when in reality, he is a lying asshole. See? Tiny change, big difference. The issue here is that even though the reality is that 1.4 million lawfully present immigrants will lose health care, along with the millions of U.S. citizens who will also lose health care, the GOP refuses to acknowledge their lawful status, so they dub these people as illegal, apropos of nothing, by fiat, which is not...
To put it short, they are lying. Now, I played Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, repeat that lie over and over and over, repeat the lies about what the CBO had said, and now you understand that, and I also played Steve Bannon and Russell Vought saying that the president wanted to shut down the government. So as the days go by and you continue to hear all these lies and all this BS, understand the facts. I am just here to give you the facts. I'm not here to pontificate on what I think about and I think it's this and I think it's that. I'm here to give you the facts. What is so sorely needed at this point. So take the facts and do with it as you please. Okay. Now I also want to share with you a few more things. No King's Day. If you guys don't know that October 18th is designated as a No King's Day protest day. They're protesting whatever you want to protest about this administration. You know, the most recent thing that has been put out is that he's going to put the military in urban cities, and I let you decide what Hexef meant if he would allow the military to shoot and kill civilians in the street against the Geneva Convention, and them being in the street to police is against the Geneva Convention. I also showed you somebody analyzing what Hexef said prior to being told to put the military in the streets. The military has not been trained on crowd patrol at all. So what do you think the military is going to be in the street for? I'm just giving you the information. There's going to be a protest on October 18th. They're hoping a lot of people come out. This is one man's opinion about it. I'll give you I'll play this for you because this is his opinion about how many more people need to show up to be effective, not not so jovial as they were in the last King's Day protest. It was more like a picnic party type of thing. While he's not telling you to be violent, but I think he's telling you to take this more seriously. So let me make sure I'm sharing this with you guys, and you can just be advised. October 18th, they're trying to put together another protest, No King's Day protest. So I'll share this with you.
Loading and October. October 18th could be the biggest one yet. I think this is awesome. Organizers say that there's over 2,100 separate demonstrations planned across all 50 states. There's more than the millions who hit the streets in June, hopefully planning to protest. There was the first No King's Day of action. This is another No King's Day of action, October 18th. Now, here's the important aspect to this. History shows us that numbers alone don't guarantee success. If we go back to like the height of the Vietnam War protests, you had demonstrations with 500,000 people in Washington, D.C., but it was still a tiny fraction of the country. We now have 330, 340 million people living in the United States. Even 5 or 6 million people turning out is huge, but it's also 1.5% to 2% of the population. And what political scientists will tell you is that to really topple a regime or force major change, you usually need sustained engagement from like 3 to 6% of the whole population. Now, that's a lot of people, but it's also not completely unrealistic. If October 18th doesn't surpass the June numbers, I fear it's going to be seen more as symbolic rather than decisive and influential. And if there is really an appetite for change here, we got to get those numbers up. And we need October 18th to be even bigger. Now, this ties into a second problem. The style of these protests, if the next No King's Day looks like the last one, which is, and I don't say this negatively, more carnival than anything else, I don't know that Trump's necessarily going to sweat it. And I think it's great that the protests were positive and they weren't violent because I'm against violence. Like that's all good stuff. But one of the things about protests that influence change is that they make people uncomfortable. They have to, in some way, suspend business as usual, impact the status quo. Now, to me, that doesn't mean riots. It doesn't mean property crime. It doesn't mean any of that. But it does have to, in some way, be disruptive. This is what history tells us. And so the question is, given the geography of the United States, a very big country with some large areas that are relatively sparsely populated, with people in circumstances where many people can't afford to really take time off from work to protest, right? You have all these different things. What is it that could happen that will create leverage by interfering with business as usual? Blocking a freeway in your own backyard and just making your own...
Okay, I just wanted to give you that information. One thing one way that you can definitely protest is protest with your dollars. That is one of the largest impact that they pay attention to. You see, when some of us black people with sense decided to no longer support Target with our dollars, we saw what happened. And it probably would have happened quicker if you didn't have these coons out here still talking about they need to go to Target as if they were going to Neiman Marcus. So I just wanted to share. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you as well. Be aware that lawful matters. The word lawful matters a lot when you are talking about some things. So let's see what the Baltimore mayor has to say. You understand that he is, I think he was in the military. So he has comments about the meeting that Hegseth and 4547 and the message that they gave to the troops. So let's hear what he has to say. Wes Moore.
Gave that amazing speech this morning in Maryland. The government shut down, but yesterday also, Trump and Hegseth gave what I thought was a bizarre, politicized event. They did a bizarre and politicized event in front of 4, 3, 2, 1-star members of the U.S. military. You were a veteran yourself. And there are a couple things that struck me. They talked about fighting a war from within. They talked about these silly rules of engagement. When you're in the military, and you know this better than I do, but I've worked with a member of they serve the commander in chief. They report to him. They do what he orders. And I just wonder if we're in just a different moment where there should be some questioning. Or how do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was really disheartening. I received a text from a person who I served with before, and he said to me, he said, you know, it's normal to disagree with the commander-in-chief. He said, but I don't know if it's normal to be embarrassed by him. Mm-hmm. And he said, and I'm embarrassed. You know, and when we take the oath, we take the oath that we are going to follow the Constitution of the United States of America, and we will follow the lawful orders of the commander-in-chief. It's the same thing, and it's the same very humble responsibility that I take as the commander-in-chief of the Maryland National Guard. That I know the Maryland National Guard and the Maryland Air Guard, they move on the command of the commander-in-chief, that I'm giving them lawful orders. But I also think there's a confidence amongst the members of the Maryland National Guard and the Maryland Air Guard is that I would only ever give lawful orders. And that's the struggle that I think for a lot of members of the military, they're figuring right now. We will follow the commands of our commander-in-chief. That's the oath that we took. When they're lawful. And I think there's a lot of people who right now, when they heard the words from the commander-in-chief yesterday about talking about using American cities as training grounds, they're not receiving lawful orders. In fact, they're receiving orders that are in direct violation of the U.S. Constitution and of U.S. law. And so this is what is making this moment so tricky. It's not just the fact that, you know, hearing Pete Hegseth ridicule people about merit is really rich when he is the most unqualified Secretary of Defense that this country's ever seen. But it's past that. It's that we are hearing from our commander-in-chief about instructions that he is giving to the members of our military that are not just nonsensical, they're unlawful. And that puts the members of our military in a really complicated situation.
What can they do?
Okay, so I just wanted to share a little of that with you. Lawful matters. So go over there and check out the rest of that video. The link is in my description box. So there's a couple of more things that I want to talk about today, and let me find them. They're right here. There's a couple of more things that I want to talk about. Of course, there is another Republican that has had to quit running for their seat because they got caught up in some a scandal. You know, one of these Christian family first Republicans. Another one bites dust. Doom, doom, doom. Who's getting money? Who is getting money? Let's see how much. Now, a reporter asks 4547, does he think it's proper? No, she asked Caroline Levitt, does she think it's proper for 4547 and his family to be profiting off of the presidency? Now, there has been more profits that has been unearthed about Jared Kushner, who, after 47 first term, got $2 billion from the Saudis for a new business that he had, and even the Saudis, governing council who governs what they should invest the Saudi Arabia's money in, said no, that's a bad deal. But they were they got override. It was overridden by one of these. Here's the story. I can't remember if they were a king or a prince, or it was overrode.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt at the White House briefing. None other than J.D. Vance joined her. And frankly, the two of them lied through their teeth on some really important issues that people care about. So I'm going to take a crack at some of the questions and try to set the record straight. Okay, first question goes to Washington Bureau Chief for Breitbart News, Matt Boyle. Why not?
There's two key Democrat lies.
We're going to go beyond that. Let me see. Let's see. Let's get to the good part.
Senate Republicans have 53 votes, and they could not get 7 Democrats to join them in supporting a bill that does not extend health care subsidies to tens of millions of Americans. That's the issue, Matt. And you would think that someone who thought he was as smart about politics as Donald Trump would see how unpopular it is to make health care more expensive. But here we are. Okay, Mr. Boyle wasn't done with his question, so let me just let him finish. He said he had 2 Democrat lies, after all.
They're out there now claiming that they don't want to give.
We're going to get beyond him and his dumb questions.
That claim, quote, they said, Republicans have been falsely asserting that Democrats are shutting down the government to fund free health care for unauthorized immigrants. In reality, unauthorized immigrants are largely barred from federally funded health care programs. The Democrats' budget proposal does not make them eligible for those programs. The truth is the health care that Democrats are trying to get funded is not for undocumented immigrants at all. It is for tens of millions of American citizens. And we've talked about this subsidy, but I'm just going to repeat some of it or reiterate some of it. I mean, back in 2021, the Biden administration passed a bill that expanded access to health care plans under the ACA, provided tax credits to make health care premiums more affordable. And right now, 22 million Americans rely on those subsidies, but they are set to disappear at the end of the year if Congress doesn't act. That would mean monthly health insurance premiums more than doubling in costs for millions of Americans, and an estimated 4 million Americans losing their health insurance altogether. That's the holdup. That's why the government shut down. Democrats want to extend the enhanced tax credits for the Affordable Care Act, and Republicans don't. It has nothing to do with immigrants. Okay, Shamna Krish from the New York Times. Go ahead.
How did the White House decide that it is appropriate for Jared Kushner to be working on matters that involve Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, 3 countries that combined have given him more than $2.5 billion for his investment firm?
Now, I don't normally show Caroline Leavitt's responses to these briefing questions, important so I can answer more questions, but this is a response you should really see, so we're going to play this one.
I think it's, frankly, despicable that you're trying to suggest that it's inappropriate. Jared is donating his energy and his time to our government, to the President of the United States, to secure world peace.
I mean, okay. I don't know how Caroline thinks donating your time works, but typically donated time doesn't not come with financial returns, like huge ones. I mean, just this Monday, we learned that Jared Kushner's private equity firm has teamed up with Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund for the largest private equity buyout ever, buying the video game company EA Games for $55 billion. That, of course, comes on top of the $2 billion Saudi Arabia has already invested in Kushner's private equity fund and the $1.5 billion Kushner got from the UAE and Qatar late last year. But how dare reporters suggest that it's inappropriate for Jared to be involved in White House discussions impacting those countries? What an outrageous question. This company is only getting literally billions of dollars from them. Meanwhile, Republicans are so unwilling to shell out for the health care of millions of Americans, they're shutting the government down.
So, he's donating his time for world peace, the bitch said. Okay. I just thought that you guys should know how many billions of dollars that Jared Kushner is profiting from 45, 47 being in the White House. Finally, I was wondering if there was still someone in here. Yes. 58.5 billion dollars he has received. So let's continue. Let us continue. I just wanted to give you somebody's getting paid. Let me see. The sting and the lies. We got to talk about Holman. Now, in a courtroom, ICE threw a reporter out of the elevator, a photographer, out of the elevator, and he had to be taken away on a stretcher, on a hardboard, in a neck brace. So let's talk about Tom Holman, and if anyone who has done what he was accused of doing, would their file just be deleted from the FBI, the case just shut and closed down by any administration? Let's talk about him.
To Trump's...
Let me speed this up a hair. Here we go.
Border czar Tom Homan, who allegedly accepted a $50,000 bribe from undercover agents posing as business owners looking to score fat government contracts. Julian Jace Calderas, a former U.S. immigration official who worked under Homan in the Obama administration, allegedly proposed to the agents who were posing as businessmen that Homan, in exchange for $1 million, could help them win lucrative federal contracts if Donald Trump became president again, according to an internal Justice Department document describing the investigation. Now, Cenk, there is a lot more. We'll get into it. But immediately from the right, there was this denial that it didn't happen. It's all fake news. And then you started to see the rhetoric shift. Oh, well, he was just consulting. I mean, do you believe there's any cause for skepticism here, or are you just convinced that he took this bribe?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, people should get trials. And so he's innocent until proven guilty. But he should get a trial and not be the head of this important program. And ironically, if he was an undocumented immigrant, he'd be the first to be deported since he's a criminal. Dr. Phil comes along and they're like, now, Tom, I hear you took $50,000, okay? That's illegal, you know that, right? So we're gonna have to deport you. So we'll have to figure out where to deport him.
Yeah. Well, Homan was running his own consulting firm, which I think is where the right-wing spin comes from, in the fall of 2024 that would help contractors win border-related contracts. And he publicly bragged that he would serve in a senior role carrying out Trump's proposed mass deportations if the GOP candidate won the election. Calderas, a former border agent, would benefit from his long-standing ties to Homan as CEO of the San Antonio-based ex-Fed. Calderas, co-owner of a detention services and government contracting firm in Texas, first allegedly proposed the scheme in May of 2023. Calderas held several subsequent conversations with the agents about his cash for contracts proposal, culminating in a September 20th, 2024 meeting in Dallas, at which agents recorded Homan accepting $50,000 in cash, according to the document and sources. At that same meeting, Calderas accepted $10,000 from the undercover FBI agents. His alleged proposal to undercover FBI agents, which had not been previously reported, led to a full-blown Justice Department investigation of Homan, who at the time was a private consultant helping clients obtain government contracts. Now, the White House has criticized the investigation as a politically motivated inquiry started under the Biden administration. White House Deputy Press Secretary Abigail Jackson said in a statement that this changes nothing. The now shuttered federal criminal probe is a blatantly political investigation which found no evidence of illegal activity. Now, the investigation ended after Trump became president for a second time in January. His political appointees at the FBI and the Justice Department shut down the case last month. Jackson said that Homan has not been involved with any contract award decisions and that he is doing a phenomenal job on behalf of President Trump and the country. She also reiterated that the investigation was driven by Biden Justice Department appointees to target President Trump's allies. But the Trump administration needs to get their story straight because they're sending conflicting messages, which means lies are being spouted. Take a look.
Mr. Homan never took the $50,000 that you're referring to, so you should get your facts straight, number one.
Okay, so he never took it. But Homan said during an interview on Fox News that he did nothing wrong, but he did not address whether he accepted the $50,000. Take a look.
They said that you took $50,000 in cash in a bag from an undercover FBI agent to help them win government contracts in Trump's second term. The DOJ said they concluded there was no criminal wrongdoing, but nevertheless, that story is out there, and I imagine you want to respond to that.
No, absolutely. Look, I did nothing criminal. I did nothing illegal. And this hit piece after hit piece.
Seems like something that's easy to refute if you didn't take the money. However, the revelations about Calderas' role shows conspiracy. Conspiracy charge requires that more than one person enter into a corrupt agreement, and undercover federal agents can't be part of a conspiracy. And, Jank, I'll remind you and the audience that the early reporting on this story said that there was video of this incident, and whether or not we'll see that anytime soon remains to be seen. But what do you make of this?
All right, so first of all, I'm going to get back to what if it wasn't illegal. We're going to talk about that, okay? But first, do I believe the Trump administration that they looked at and they're like, well, golly gee, you know, he happens to be in an enormously important role in our administration. But we looked through it and yeah, you got a bag full of cash. That doesn't look good. No, but we have decided in an unbiased way that our guy should not be prosecuted. And by the way, neither should the January 6th guys, neither should anyone on Trump's side, neither should anyone who gave a campaign donation to Donald Trump or bought his Bitcoin or his meme coin who were charged with fraud and white collar crime. They should all be free to go, but trust us, bro, it was because we did a neutral investigation. No.
He was it was a Biden investigation. So if we say the word Biden, it automatically makes this investigation, which is said to be on video, invalid and political persecution or prosecution from the Biden administration. Okay, a bunch of bullshit. So, since we're talking about Tom Homan and ICE, I wonder, do you guys know that ICE is doing family, hey Sean P, hey the Bushes, ICE is doing family separation again. Have you heard about how they're doing family separation? Let's get into it. There is a story in The Guardian. Let me share my screen with you of how they are doing these family separations. Now, Leonard, get ready to write your favorite phrase, diabolical, because what they're doing is absolutely diabolical. Ronnie Q, why do you keep going back to these immigrants? Because they have said that your child is you are no longer the guardian of your child at the age of 7. Hold that right there, and see what they are doing to these undocumented children. This ties into you are not the guardian of your child after the age of 7 as well. 4547 revised family separation amid drive to deport millions, a tactic to punish them. How? Let's find out. The 4547 administration have revived the practice of separating families in order to coerce immigrants and asylum seekers to leave the U.S., attorneys and former immigration officials allege. In several cases, officials have retaliated against immigrants who challenged their deportation orders by forcibly separating them from their children. A Guardian investigation found the officials misclassified the children as unaccompanied minors. Can you believe that? They just sit up there and just said, hey, these kids just came over here. We found them by themselves. They just over here by themselves. They are more unaccompanied minors before placing them in government-run shelters or foster care. The new practice has taken effect as the administration has also issued stringent new limits on who can take custody of unaccompanied minors, which advocates says keep thousands of children away from their relatives. Now, these 7-year-olds that they say that you're no longer the guardian of, will they be rounding them up, putting them in foster homes, having them work these fields, and shit that they have deported all these undocumented workers from, and give them and call it a foster home, you know, kind of like a plantation? This is why I do these stories. This is why I do the stories on what they're doing to the immigrants, and making it easier to say that you have no merit or no parentage over your own kid beyond the age of 7. Make it make sense. Okay, so. Okay. The new practice has taken effect as the administration also issued stringent new limits on how and who can take custody of the unaccompanied minors. This is a tactic to punish people for not acquiescing, said Fajil Al-Jubiri, head of external affairs at the legal aid group Rances. This is a tactic to get immigrants to relent and to agree to self-deport. Now, what are they going to try to get you to relent from? So, they're making it easier to take children from parents. Do you think saying that your child at the age of 7 is no longer your dependent is going to make it easier to take care of children? I don't know. It sounds like it to me. I'm just giving you my opinion. Because who going to work these farms for these billionaires who are buying up these farms from the farmers who are losing their farms because of these tariffs? They still are farms. They still are going to need people to work them. You know that they feel that any job that requires a degree, even though you have that degree and the degree above and beyond it, you get these jobs because you're DEI and you're not qualified for these jobs. You heard Hegseth sit up there in front of the generals and say he don't care if you're the first one of any type of class who got in the service. It's because of DEI and lower expectations that got you into the position that you're in. People who have way higher rank than he had ever gotten into service. This is how he's talking to them. People who have spent over 30 plus years in the military. This is how he's talking to them. What the fuck do you think they're gonna tell you about you and your qualifications and the ownership that you have over the rights and ownership that you have over your own children, when they're telling you that your children will no longer be counted as your own dependent beyond the age of 7, not 18 anymore, 7. What do you think they're trying to tell you? How come nobody's talking about this? Where is the for-profit media awakening you, alarming you to these facts? I don't know. I'm here. Share me out. That's all I got to say. The recent separation echoed the zero tolerance policy of the first 45-47 administration, when the U.S. systematically separated more than 5,600 migrant children from their parents and caregivers at the U.S.-Mexico border. Images of agents pulling children from their parents' arm and placing them in overcrowded metal cages sparked domestic and international outrage. And 45-47 ended the policy, and many of those children were never reunited with their family. But 7 years later, hundreds of parents still have been unable to reunify with their children. The administration lost track of many of the families. Hey, they're not white children. We just lost track. Oh, who can keep track of children? The administration lost track of many of the families. It tore apart. Although the new separations so far appear to be less pervasive, than the original policy, experts and attorneys said that it could result in another crisis of prolonged permanent separations. Okay, so the link to this article is in my description box. I'm just trying to give you guys a little information. Now, where are we now? Okay, who's getting the money? The stings and the lies. It's family separation. FBI and January 6th. Let's go here. If you are not aware, Congress, sitting members of Congress, elected officials are trying to say that there were over 200 or so people from the FBI that were entangled in the January 6th, and they were the ones who were stirring up all the trouble. This is what they're trying to rewrite the January 6th history. So if you don't know, let me share a little of this. Now, even Kakai Patel has come out and said that no, the FBI was there for basically, I don't know, crowd control or something of the sort. But they would have you to believe that the FBI was there for some nefarious reasons. Let's get into this.
Doing over this weekend, he was spreading a
Oh no, this is 45-47.
completely debunked conspiracy that the FBI was the reason for the January 6th insurrection. By the way, even Kash Patel over the weekend had to say that these ridiculously false and frankly defamatory posts by Donald Trump from the weekend, and frankly Donald Trump's been posting this a ton, that there were FBI agents who were the real reason for the insurrection, and 274 of them were embedded and they were the reason that the insurrection was caused. Even Kash Patel was like, nah, they came after, and then they still tried to blame the FBI for coming after, even though Trump didn't call the National Guard. But you have MAGA Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, spewing this debunked conspiracy nonsense when Americans are like, I can't afford my groceries. What are you doing? And this just shows the cult nature of what the Republican Party has become. It's just odd. Here, play this clip.
It should do, and they have to hold people accountable. We have to ensure that the rule of law applies to everyone, and that's exactly what's happening here.
Does the rule of law have to apply to people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. There's new information over the last couple of days about that as well. Apparently, there were 274 FBI agents in the crowd on January 6th.
No.
I think the total number of persons
Kash Patel just brought some enhanced understanding to that. They were sent there to do crowd control because of everything that was going on. It wasn't a false flag operation, as President Trump suggested.
Well, Jake, wait a minute. Hold on, Jake. How do you know that, right? There's a lot
just going by what Kash
of
Patel
brand
said.
new questions about. Well, and I'm telling you that there's videos, and it's always been disputed what involvement some of those persons, engaged in, what involvement they had. Did they spur on the crowd? Did they open the gates to allow them in? I don't know. These are questions, but they should be answered. And
we do know the answer.
I don't know. These are questions that we don't know. Maybe they did this. Maybe they did that. Well, where's your hearing on this? Well, bring these people that you suspect of doing this in for a hearing. You do know. You're carrying 4547's water. So this link is also in the description box. I tell you, this is the person who is third in line for the presidency. First, Trump, J.D. Vance, and the third person would be this person. I'm almost done. I have a couple of more interesting stories. I don't know if you've heard about them. Let me see. Speaking of these children, a California legislator approves a bill threatening parental rights despite strong opposition. Thank you, Deanna Irving, for sending me this. I had no idea about what California is doing, saying that anyone... Let me tell you the problem with this. Let me share this with you. Since we're talking about parental rights and children and parents and all of this stuff, here we go. Yeah, I think this is going to be on the ballot on November 4th. They really need to talk up this as well. California Family Council, September 15, 2025. Last Friday, the California Senate and Assembly approved AB 495 along strict party lines, with Democrats in support and Republicans in opposition. The bill, authorized by Assemblymember Celeste Rodriguez, a Democrat of Los Angeles, now sits on Governor Gavin Newsom's desk. He must decide by October 12th. Okay, so it's on his desk. He must decide by, October 12th, whether to sign it into law or issue a veto. So, if you live in California, you may want to check this out. It's sitting on his desk. If you have children that you're concerned about, let me tell you why you may have some concern. California Family Council is deeply alarmed that AB 945 has advanced this far despite amendments made just day before the final vote. The bill steals, weakens parental rights, and leaves children vulnerable to exploitation. We urge every considered parent to contact Governor Newsom. Let me see if I can show you let me see if I can hit this and it gives you contact information. Let me see. There's his phone number. Okay, there's his mailing address and his phone number. The phone number is 916-445-2841. So let's get back to the story. Just in case you want to contact Newsom, this link is also in my description box. So okay. And respectfully request that he vetoes AB 495 amendments window dressing. The amendments window dressing, no protection. In response to an overwhelmingly opposition from thousands of parents, the author of amended AB 495 to remove two controversial provisions. They are going to remove the language allowing unrelated adults with a mentoring relationship to sign the caregiver's authorization affidavit. They're not going to allow that anymore. Language explicitly stating that a parent's signature was not required. So they're removing that. But while these tweaks may appear to address concerns, they do little to fix the bill's fundamental flaws. Let me enlarge this. I'm sorry. Here we go. AB 495 still expands the use of caregiver authorization affidavit. You were just talking about that. Who was just talking about that? Rockwell was just talking about that. Okay. A decade-old legal form that permits non-parents to make a medical and educational decision for a child solely reserved for parents or legal guardians. The bill continues to allow individuals to claim kinship within the fifth degree without requiring notarization, verification, or parental contact. In practice, this means a stranger could falsely claim to be a relative and assume authority over a child's schooling or healthcare decisions. The affidavit states that school or medical facilities have no obligation to verify the affidavit signer. Verify the affidavit signer is the person they say they are. They say that they are asking for a driver's license, but they do nothing to verify if the license is in true a real driver's license. The affidavit process has exposed the massive safety risks our current caregiver authorization affidavit process possess. She pointed out that someone could make important decisions for a child by simply filling out a 8-question form that is not required to be notarized, checking a box to indicate that they are a relative, and presenting a form of ID that is never verified for authenticity. A direct assault on parental rights. The California Family Council has consistently warned that AB 495 represents a direct violation of God-given parental rights. Parents, but not bureaucrats, not schools, not loosely defined relatives, are the ones entrusted by God to protect and raise their children. Deuteronomy 6, they got the Bible in here. Deuteronomy chapter 6 verses 6 and 7. This bill threatens the sacred bond by allowing others to step into a parental role without genuine safeguards. AB 495 still leaves the door wide open for fraud and abuse, says CFC Vice President Greg Brute. The so-called amendments were nothing more than window dressing. Parents must be notified and given consent before anyone else is authorized to make educational and medical decisions for their child. Anything less is a betrayal of parental rights and an invasion for exploitation. So, there you go. If you didn't know, now you know. This is going on, and it's on Gavin Newsom desk. I think Gavin Newsom should be called to say, hey, we appreciate you being on Trump's ass, but don't, while you are making memes and all that shit, do not veto, veto bill AB 495, Gavin Newsom. So the link is in my description box. And you don't even have to be a parent in California to call Gavin Newsom. So make sure you call Gavin Newsom. Now here is another one. This is called another one. A GOP lawmaker pleads guilty in sick exploitation case. South Carolina. I have not done this story. It seems like there's another story every day. So let's get into this story. Hold on. Let me share my screen with you and get into this story. Talking about your children being in danger. Another GOP, I think he's a state senator in North Carolina. Here we go. Let's get into it. There's another one.
Specifically LGBTQ plus, immigrants' rights.
Hold on 1 second. Here we go.
The way that many of these folks in the Republican Party who rail against people's rights, specifically LGBTQ plus, immigrants' rights, all these people that they say they hate, because they do. Sometimes it's because they're covering up their own nefarious, disgusting behavior that they like to heap on folks of that community. Here's one guy who got busted.
We have 21 victims that we were able to identify, 62 overall. Notice was sent out to those 21 victims over the weekend by our Victim Services Unit at the U.S. Attorney's Office. The conduct found more than 200 unique, non-duplicated videos. Each one was a video recording of a child being sexually abused, infants, toddlers, the most vulnerable among us, children who are not old enough to protect themselves. We selected the 10 most deplorable videos to charge Mr. May with. Today, he pleaded guilty to counts 1 through 5, which are the worst of the worst. It's a priority for the Department of Justice to protect children and take down pedophiles like Robert John May. This heartbreaking case is not victimless. These files are shared over and over again. Agents found May distributed videos like this more than 470 times in 5 days. Every download re-victimizes these children and fuels this evil industry.
So there's the U.S. Attorney Brian Sterling reading out some of the charges and things that they've got R.J. May III on. R.J. May III was an elected official. You guys heard some of the disgusting things he was about, but he was sharing and spreading child exploitation videos and pictures and things like that. I'm going to get to what he said he was about, but let's get to what he did. May pleaded guilty to 5 counts of distributing child sexual abuse material involving infants and toddlers. He waived his right to a trial and faces a maximum of 20 years in federal prison and a minimum of 5 years on each count, followed by at least 5 years of supervised release. So, I mean, we should probably keep an eye on this because we've seen some of these judges give lenient sentences to people that, do disgusting things. Here's more. This investigation began after the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received a tip from the messaging app Kik, which flagged videos after the user. This is that guy's username on Kik. Joe Biden, a bunch of N's, 69, and they flagged him for containing child sexual abuse. Investigators traced the account to May's home IP address and phone, discovering at least 10 child sexual abuse videos. Disgusting piece of shit. So while he was in these hearings, while he was in his appearance where he talked about and eventually, I guess, pled guilty, he was representing himself. Here's details of what happened during that hearing. He made arguments to the judge to throw out the warrant used to search his home, laptop, and mobile devices for reasons unknown. The judge had not ruled on the request before May approached prosecutors about pleading guilty on Wednesday, though. May also was trying to keep out any evidence about whether he used a fake name to travel to Colombia 3 times. Prosecutors said they found videos on his laptop of him allegedly having sex with 3 people. A U.S. Homeland Security agent testified the people appeared to be underage girls and were paid. U.S. agents have not been able to locate the people. I just want to point out some of these similarities we're seeing as far as traveling to some other country or island somewhere, paying underage girls to do things, because that's how these folks are. The louder they shout about how they're coming for all these people, but have no track record for actually coming for these folks, many times they're the folks that are doing this stuff. Here's more details about this trash ass person. Prosecutors said that they linked May to uploading and downloading the child sexual abuse videos by showing he multitasked. This is some of the more disgusting details. He was multitasking, emailing work files, making phone calls, and performing web searches as part of his job as a political consultant as he was on Kik asking for, quote, bad moms, bad dads, and bad pre-teens. Talked before about how you may have a job at some restaurant and you get fired for the most disruptive things to the process because you're just a worker here. But if you're an elected official and you're over here multitasking while you look for child porn, then, you know, you may hang around a little bit longer until someone finally busts you. Here's the last bit of detail on this nasty ass. Here's the hypocrisy part. May was in his third term in the South Carolina House when he was arrested. After his election in 2020, he helped create the Freedom Caucus, a group of the House's most conservative members who say mainstream Republicans in the chamber aren't the true conservative heart of their party. Well, okay. He also helped the campaigns of Republicans running against party members who were House incumbents. Here's a quote. We as legislators have an obligation to ensure that our children have no harm done to them. That's what May said in January of 2024 on the State House floor during a debate on transgender care for minors. We as legislators have an obligation to ensure that our children have no harm done to them. Is he one of these legislators, or is he one of those people who says things like that and then is the one doing the harm to those children? Here's something else he said. This is from November of 2022, from November of 2022. Elon Musk, it is sorry ass. He posted on X, removing child exploitation is priority number 1. Please reply in comments if you see anything that Twitter needs to address. Very nice. So RJ May responded and said, wonder if this includes exposing children to drag shows or pushing sex changes on toddlers as maybe some of the things that need to be flagged as child exploitation. You know, drag queens, child exploitation. But RJ May, nasty some bitch, has instead been sharing those child exploitative videos and pictures and is finally busted for it. It's almost when they shout about this stuff, it's because behind the scenes, they're quietly whispering about those same things. We're seeing the people who are protecting pedophiles. Because many times, if they haven't already participated in that activity, it's because they're living vicariously through those folks that they're looking to protect. They're like, well, he's kind of like me. There's one other politician that had to drop out of his campaign because of what they discovered about him as well, too. And it's not nearly as bad as what RJ May III was doing. But I'm going to tell you why it's still important. This guy's name is Bill Berrien. He was running for, I believe, governor up in Wisconsin. Bill Berrien is a supporter of President Donald Trump, and he ended his Republican campaign for governor on September 26, days after it was reported that he followed numerous sexually explicit accounts online, including a non-binary pornography performer. Berrien, who's a former Navy SEAL and one of 3 announced prominent Republican candidates, issued a lengthy statement saying, quote, I had no idea that running for political office could be almost as dangerous as hunting down war criminals in Bosnia. And he also went and talked about how he can no longer win the Republican primary. Here's another quote. Looking towards what is in the best interest of the party, voters, donors, and my family, I've decided to end my campaign. So Bill Berrien has ended his campaign because he followed some illicit sites. Again, bro, it's not against the law.
Okay, I covered that story on yesterday. So this one was just another one in a litany of disgusting things that these people who profess family values are out here doing. Nappy Child, I have missed you. It is good to see you. Nappy Child, this is a short live today. You may want to go back through this live. It's very informative. Unfortunately, in the beginning, you know, I kept my computer kept buffering for some of the links, but bear with me and get this information, child. If you do nothing else, get this information. Now, I think I have a little light. I hope so. After that story, we need a little light. I think I have some. Let me. Disgusting. Yes, very. I think you guys will enjoy this. No, he talks too much during this. And I don't want to go to her channel. Oh God, do I want to go to her channel? Since it's his wife, he talks a lot through this. Let me Let me go to her channel and see if I can play a little bit there. Okay. Tommy Lauren had Crystal Ball on her show, and she was debating Crystal Ball of all people, and Crystal Ball made mincemeat out of Tommy Lauren. Here we go. I found it. They're all liars. They say one thing and do another thing while they are hungry for small children. The sick part about it is they have a lot of women behind them, like Erica Kirk. What? No, I did not see that, but we all knew that. Let me see if I can find that. Forget about Tommy Lauren getting roasted by... Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find that. Let me see. Let me see if I can find that. Thank you for telling me about that. Let me see what this one is. Now I have a link here that Trump sure has changed his tone on Project 2025. Let me see. It's a short, so let me share this short, and hopefully this is him admitting this. Let me share this with you guys. Here we go.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book.
I'm just talking. Thank you guys for giving me that warning. I never play Tabitha Speak stuff. So there we have it. 4547 is now, he's the president. Russell Vogt came out yesterday, and he said that he will be looking to make cuts to agencies based to be in line with what the president wanted. And now we clearly see here that the president is going to him. Thank you. I just realized my sound was out. And now we realize the president is going to him, Russell Vogt, the architect of Project 2025, to see what Project 2025 wants him to cut. Make that make sense. It don't make sense. It's crazy. It's crazy talk. So, yeah, I listen to Tabitha Speaks, but I never play her stuff. She's a good channel to watch. Thank you for letting me know. You better not ever play her stuff. They are meeting today. Yes, they are meeting today. So all of this, we may, make cuts to the government to be more in line with the president's wishes. We always knew that that was a farce. And he's so dumb that he comes out and trying to say that the Democrats are so dumb when he is so dumb. I guess he letting it all, I guess he letting his nuts fall to the floor on the bullshit. So y'all better prepare yourselves. If you didn't see the beginning of this live, I play a lot of stuff about how Hegseth says that the military needs to be freed from all the proper laws of the Geneva Convention and all of this other shit. So be aware, be very aware. Your president said that Hegseth has the right to put the military on the street and bash some heads in for a, one way to look at it, in inner cities, and not any of these cities that were had all of this gun violence and all of these mass shooters. He ain't say nothing about those states or cities. He ain't lying one bit. All right, guys. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate your support. And yeah, I'm going to get out of here. It was good chatting with you guys. Make sure you go back through and where I detailed what Hegseth and this administration has in store by putting the military on the street. He does not want to abide by the Geneva Convention at all. And I explained to you exactly what the who the Geneva Convention protects. It protects the citizens in war-torn areas. Now, 4547 want to call us citizens who don't agree with him, Antifa, who he has designated as a terrorist group. Kind of like they kept on telling you all of this stuff about the insurgents. So, that's all I got for you. That's all I got. Go read go to the start of this video and check it out. Put it all together. All right. Stay close to your child and make sure you don't sign any paperwork regarding who is allowed to do certain things, who can be a caregiver of your child. They're trying to sneak it in. I also talked about how children at the age of 7 are no longer considered to be you're underage. You're not able to claim a child over 7 years old as your child. The child is independent. Do with that as you can. All right, guys, you guys have a nice remainder of your day. It was good seeing you on the morning side. All right, bye-bye.
In the morning when I'm driving, I really come alive when I listen to my Ronnie, I listen to